And good morning to those of you here in Australia. A good afternoon to those in Canada, United States. And hello and welcome to those watching on recording. My name is Michael Haynes, SME Business Growth Specialist for B2B accounting, technology, and law firms. And welcome to another edition of Breaking Thru in B2B. Breaking Thru to B2B is a live stream show dedicated to those of us working in the world of B2B professional services to educate, inspire, and empower to help us build and grow successful B2B professional service practices. It is my great pleasure to welcome again the awesome, the legend, Wendy Lloyd Curley, as we continue our discussion about unlocking the power of strategic networking to grow your B2B professional service firm. Wendy, hello, good morning. So great to see you, my friend. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm wonderful, actually. I've had a very good week. I've been doing some networking. Surprise, surprise.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
you are the master networker, which is why we have you here today. And so, yeah, so I'm really looking to continue our conversation. But for those of us, for those who may be listening to recording or watching for the first time, because I noticed there are some new faces, new names that registered. Can you really quickly just kind of give a quick synopsis definition of what we mean by strategic networking?
Absolutely. So it was about 4 years ago now that I was involved in networking, had done it frequently, was a big part of a global network, did a lot of that for my business, and my business was formed on networking. And I walked into a Chamber of Commerce meeting for the American Chamber of Commerce here in Sydney, and I met a man who had no idea why he was there. None, none whatsoever. He was really there as a seat warmer. Someone was supposed to be at the lunch and they couldn't make it, so they offered him the seat. And he walked in and he had no purpose, no strategy, no structure to what he was doing. And it inspired me. I realized that most people go to events like that without
Mm.
any sort of strategy. And I didn't coin the phrase strategic networking immediately. It sounds obvious now, but networking is an important element of your business. And to do it strategically means you'll stop wasting your time when you do it. So, networking means strategic networking is networking with purpose, networking with networking with a goal in mind for what you want to accomplish before you even attend, and the specific people that you'd like to meet.
That's a fantastic definition, Wendy. Networking with a specific goal in mind, and working with the professional service firms I work with, accounting firms, technology firms, law firms, and right now I'm working with a couple of technology firms and accounting firms on strategic collaborations as part of their go-to-market strategy. So how they're taking their services, their firms to market to really build and grow those practices. A key component of their go-to-market strategy is strategic collaborations. That's one of the third key pillars. And in order to have those collaborations, you've got to find those people. So it's about having a plan. So strategic networking is so important. It's so integral to building, growing your practice, building that go-to-market plan to take your firm where you want it to go. So being able to identify those key people that you want to be working with purpose and intent is so important. And so, as part, you talk about having a purpose, intent, being strategic. What we want to be talking about today is about where to be networking. And so, really want to unpack that because you just mentioned how that example of that person who doesn't even know why they're there. Often, folks I talk to when you mention networking, they immediately roll their eyes because either A, they don't know where they should be networking. Is that networking on LinkedIn? Is that going to that 5 o'clock event? And in many cases, I find folks often aren't thinking much beyond that. So, Wendy, over to you. Can you start to unpack for us, what are some of the places where we can be doing our strategic networking?
Absolutely. And your example that you just gave about the firms that you work with and their strategic collaborations that they want to create is important in this. And I'll just reflect on two things. Last time that we got to meet, we talked about who you wanted to meet. And we were very specific about different collaborations, clients, competitors, and other people that you would want to meet when you're out networking. So I wanted to reflect on that. And I also wanted to reiterate something that I call like the master commandment of networking. And it is that thou shalt not sell.
Yeah.
And sales and networking are completely different things with completely different purposes. And so when you go out to connect with people, that is networking. When you
Yes.
go out to sell to people, that is sales.
Yes.
And often the reason that people feel ick about networking is they conflate it with sales and they
Okay.
think, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know what they're going to want. I don't know if they're going to want I'm just sick of throwing business cards in people's faces. So if we can change your mindset for those of you who are watching this, if you are uncomfortable networking or feel that it is ick, that's probably because you're trying to sell to people who probably don't need your service. And that does feel ick. It's like cold calling a whole bunch of people in a room face to face. And that's not what networking is all about.
Yeah.
So, to answer your question, Michael, there are networking opportunities everywhere.
Okay,
Everywhere.
so let's start to unpack that because you said networking is about connecting with people, and
Yep.
that's what it's all about. So let's start to unpack the ways that we can do so. Let's break it out in terms of online and offline because that's kind of how everything is often being discussed. And again, a lot of our audience here are predominantly in professional services, and all the experts are saying, it's all about digital, and digital is where you need to be. So let's first talk about some of the online ways of connecting, networking, and connecting with people.
All right, I will, and I'll be pretty controversial perhaps. I don't believe that online networking works for professional services
Okay.
in a holistic sense. I believe that it is a part of building a relationship. So when you meet someone at an in-person networking event and you connect with them and then nurture the relationship, great. Or if you meet someone online by using Sales Navigator or perhaps by using another reach out method that you use, I think it's really important that you nurture that relationship in order to determine if a more in-person relationship is required. So professional services is very much about relationships and trust.
Yeah.
And so I believe that it either starts with an in-person experience or ends with an in-person experience, with the digital social media component of it being a nurturing element of the overall recipe. Yeah.
Yeah. And Wendy, look, I have to say, I very much agree with you. I'm very old school in terms around really connecting with people one on one, having conversations one on one. I mean, you and I have our practice of having our regular monthly lunch meetings at our favorite cafe in your hood to have those purposeful discussions. And so I'm very much a big believer on that, that it may start online and you might start with an initial conversation on Zoom, Google Meets, what have you. But eventually, at some point, it will, yeah, lend itself to having those in-person discussions. Because having those conversations, it's about connecting and conversation. I believe is really what is key. That you want to really unlock and develop those conversations, which can lead to the relationship, which can lead to various opportunities for collaboration, etc.
And I consider in person to include Zoom
Yeah.
environments.
Mhm.
So as long as it's live, so it's a
Yeah.
live Zoom conversation that you're having, that is in person
Mhm.
networking.
Yeah.
It's using a different medium to get there.
Yeah.
So I do believe that digital has its place, but that is a one-way communication with another one-way back. One way, one way, one way, one way, not live
Yeah.
versus what you and I are doing right now. And what you can easily do is pop onto a Zoom and have a chat with
Yeah.
someone. So you can start a conversation in the digital world and then say, listen, let's turn this into the next step because I believe that you have something I need or I have something that you need and we can continue the conversation. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, so that's digital. And
Yeah.
digital is absolutely an element of nurturing relationships. So I'll put that one to the side because most of what my specialty is and most of what my book is about is not about digital at all. It's about in person, so that live environment. And I think the most logical place to start when you're talking about where to do networking is to think about a business chamber.
Okay.
And there are many different styles of business chamber in the world. There
Okay.
are very small micro levels. So it depends on what your business is.
Yeah.
If your business is a local mechanic, for example, which is not your target market and probably not going to have a lot of
Yeah.
mechanics listening to this call. But if you were a mechanic or a yoga studio or a gym or a a lot of your clients, by the way, those of you who are watching, that it's
Yeah.
important that you understand that your clients might need that local community.
Yeah.
And the neat thing about the local community is brand awareness,
Yeah.
presence awareness, so that they know that you're even there,
Yeah.
and developing relationships with people so that they think, wow, that's a good guy or she's a good gal. And all of that's working well. So it is about visibility. So a
Yeah.
lot of what networking is about in the initial stages is visibility. Do we
Yeah.
even know that you exist?
Yeah. Yeah.
And once we know you exist, then we can determine if we like you a little bit. We can
Yeah.
start to develop trust and then we can develop relationships. But it starts with that initial visibility. So a chamber that's local, like a community chamber, is really good because you get to know all of the people on that street.
Yeah.
You get to know all of the people in that community. And there may be people who are in professional services, like accountants and finance people and real estate agents and property managers,
Yeah.
IT professionals, and all of that, that might be very local. And what a great community to be able to be aware of and have in your contact list and be
Yeah.
able to talk to each other more frequently about things.
Awesome. Yeah. So business chambers being one, and that whole notion of visibility, I think you've raised is so critical because that is one of the big challenges or barriers to a lot of professional service firms. Be it accountants, technology, lawyers, consultants, your marketers, that they're often great at what they do, but they are not known. And so creating your visibility, and
Yeah.
a great way to create visibility and connections, and being able to start to unlock the conversations, because I think you and I both agree that conversations are critical to unlocking the opportunities in professional service and in other businesses, but we're going to talk around for our people. It's quite critical. So business chambers, great way to do so.
And let me also share that business chambers are can be local, but they can also be global. There
Yeah.
are absolutely fantastic chambers that deal with a much more senior level, a larger clientele, where you actually have the C-level people and more diverse businesses involved. And those are important elements as well. And again, it's all about visibility. It's all about letting them know who you are, but also asking them what brings them there, what is
Yeah.
their purpose of being there, what could you do to help them. When we come to serve, we actually will support better. So I do think it's important that you evaluate local, state, national, and global opportunities depending on your business and
Absolutely.
how you can help the people who are in the room.
Okay. Great. Um, Awesome.
All
What
right.
are some other places you talk about business chambers? What's your view on the likes of things like industry and professional associations, for example, or some of these CEO peer advisory groups? Like here in Australia, we've got the likes of the CEO Institute, and there's other of these other kind of peer advisory groups. What's your view? Are these some other opportunities that folks should be looking to consider as ways of gaining visibility and connection?
Absolutely. I want to tell a story and then I want to
Okay.
answer that.
Yeah,
I'm probably obviously from the North American area.
you and me both.
and so just for those of you who are listening, you know that it matters who you went to school with, doesn't it? It matters who you went to school with. A lot of people will go to the Ivy League because of the network it provides them
Yeah.
more than the education. It's
Mhm.
about the network of people that they know. And even someone as lowly as me who went to a small little school like Arizona State University, that network, that alumni network can help you in your initial stages in your 20s and 30s and really help your business grow and help your career trajectory grow. Well, that is why associations like the peer groups are important because those people, you may not actually have business that you can do with each other, but you can collaborate and help each other through the situations that you are in. Your network can help you to do things faster, to get through situations better. They can save you money by giving you the right mindset to go into business. So, again, you're not getting a sale necessarily through these relationships, but you are definitely having business benefits from them. And I consider those experiences, so being involved in some sort of a roundtable like that is
Yeah.
a really powerful thing. And I think of that very differently to an industry group. And I
Okay.
just realized I talk with my hands a lot. Um, sorry. So an industry group is let's think about a an industry group for accountants. And
Yeah.
accountants usually need to do some sort of continuous professional development every year. So they're involved in an association of accountants, and they may have webinars that they can participate in. They may have dinners that they can go to where or luncheons where things are presented about the industry and what's going on. And they also are going to have courses that they can take either online or in person. These are all networking opportunities. And the reason that these are important is it introduces you to number one, possibly competitors that you can get to know and understand and benchmark against. And two, and probably more importantly, collaborators. People who do exactly what you do, but they do it for a different target market. And therefore, you can become a connector. When people are looking for an accountant, they'll go to you as the accountant who may or may not be the right provider, but you know all of the other accountants. And you can say, oh, these people specialize in trades. These people specialize in mining. These people specialize in hospitality. And you'll be able to be the one that directs that and keep your niche or your niche, as I would have used to have said, and keep that niche strong so that you have that going. So I do think that we've talked about three so far. One is chambers, and
Yes.
there's a variety of levels there.
Yes.
Two is peer groups where you are really helping each other with your goal setting and your day-to-day operations and thinking about the way you do things. And that's got business benefit, and that's a strong network. And the third one we've talked about now is industry associations. And
Yeah.
there are opportunities within the communication and the training opportunities there.
Great.
Really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So bottom line is we need to be thinking broadly about the kinds of places where to network. And Wendy, so what is your view? Should folks just zero in and pick one? Should we be thinking broadly and potentially tap into multiple? What's kind of your advice on that with respect of, we've just talked about some great ones, the chambers, peer groups, alumni groups, etc. What's your view in terms of the networking? Should it be going all in on one? Should we be thinking a bit more broadly?
All
Your
right. In my opinion,
yeah.
first of all, you simply need to know what your options are first. And I think most people do this in a reactionary way. And
Hmm.
I would encourage all of the people who are watching this right now to change that and think, wait a minute, I'm going to ask my AI to tell me all of the different networks that are around this postcode or this zip code, right? I'm
Okay.
going to get my assistant to make a list of all of the different chambers, all of the different industry associations, all of the different networks that I could be part of so that I can strategically select these groups. And I also think that it's important to make sure that you identify how much time you want to spend on this marketing element of your business. In my opinion, it would make sense to do, for most businesses, it would make sense to do 1 to 2 networking events per week at the most.
Yeah.
And I mean that, at the most. There are a lot of people who become addicted to the networking, but they don't get the time then to do the follow-up. And networking is only strategic if you are meeting specific people and then developing relationships. So if you go to too many things, you have too much follow-up. I attended an event last night, and this is another networking opportunity. It's social. It was a community effort, had nothing to do with business. It was a storytelling environment. It's called Stories That Stir. And I went and I visited that, and there were 6 presenters, and they told stories that had nothing to do with business, all about strength. That was the theme. And in the audience, there was one person that I hadn't seen in 3 years. And she has got a network that she's developing. And she and I talked about it briefly. Her network is for $500,000 and above, up to about 5 million women CEOs, right?
Yep.
This is an ideal connection for me to know about because of the people who I work with.
Yep.
And so she and I, that's the one follow-up I have. One.
Right.
The rest was relaxing and enjoying, but the strategy was identify one person you need to follow up with and make that happen. So you can go to social events as well and do that.
Right. Okay, awesome. So yeah, so thinking very broadly in terms of the various kinds we've talked about from a business perspective, but thinking broader from a more social and interest perspective, because many of the kinds of people you may want to be are attending these kinds of, social fun interest groups as well. They can be a source, and doing the follow up with and knowing who you want to be meeting and doing the appropriate follow up, but not overdoing it. You're suggesting, up to, 1 per week.
I say 1 to 2 per week maximum.
Max, and that makes sense.
And I do think that, and I'll full disclosure, I'm involved with and own a B&I franchise, and B&I is a Business Network International. They meet on a weekly basis, and if that was all that the members did, their network would be strong, but it might not necessarily grow a lot. Right. So that's why I would always say 2, because you want to be regularly meeting with your network.
Yes.
But you also want to be regularly expanding your connections. And so that's where the difference between a network and networking is really powerful. Networking to me is meeting new people, creating new connections that then become part of your network. So one's a verb and one's a noun. And the verb of networking, if you do it strategically, will make your noun network grow and strengthen.
Fantastic. Now, I want to kind of circle that networking versus meeting your network. What is the cadence in terms of meeting that network when you start to establish that core group of people? Because in your book, which is absolutely fantastic, it's the Bible, it's what I'm using myself and with my clients. Once you start to form those key, you talk about those key, 3 to 5 people that are really coming part of your core network. What is the cadence in terms of meeting up with that core network of those key folks that you're collaborating with to share content, do events, etc.? What's the cadence? Is it once a month, once a quarter? What do you suggest in terms of meeting with that core group of your inner core key network?
I think your inner core would definitely be weekly. I think your inner core, the people that you are giving referrals to regularly, the people you are receiving referrals from regularly, the people who have the same target market as you and who are serving that target market with something different than what you do. So they have a same target market, but a different service. Yeah. You want to know and you are truly referral partners.
Right.
Meaning you know each other, you like each other, you trust each other, you understand how you do business, you know exactly what to expect when you refer someone to them, what their experience is going to be, and you're able to easily say, hey, listen, this person is in my network. a very strong referral partner of mine. They're very busy, but I would love to give them your name and number because I think that they can help you with what you need. Would that be all right? They're the best in the business, but I think I can get you onto their schedule. Now, for me to say that about someone means that I'm in a deep, good relationship with them, and it's very mutual. Sorry for hitting the microphone there. It's very mutual.
Right.
And I think it's important that you meet with those people very regularly. And again, it could be on Zoom. I consider that in person, especially because sometimes your referral partners may not even be in the same city that you're in. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
Referral partners say to each other, hey, this week I'm going on these 6 appointments. How can I help you in those 6 appointments? Here's who I'm meeting with, and here's what I'm doing. They trust each other that much. How can I represent you when I'm in there? What should I be looking for to see if I can help you get some business out of my sales call?
So this is, I think, a real powerful nugget that you've raised, Wendy, because you've given us great insights about where we can be networking, the peer advisory groups and the industry groups, etc., to be making new connections. But it is important that as you make those new connections, that you're having live discussions with them regularly to build that relationship, to get to know each other, know your businesses, and that it's important that you factor that in. I would say as part of your business planning, that you're factoring not this time to be networking, but meeting with your network and really cultivating that, building that relationship and understanding of your network so that you can be really working and helping and supporting each other. And so that is an important part of strategic networking, which I think is often overlooked because often people think about going to the event and collecting the cards and just getting the names, but and so building their network, but not really building that relationship connection and understanding with those whom are core within your network. And that meeting that regular cadence is so critical to that understanding, which ultimately will make it easier for them to refer you business or to other opportunities as well, speaking engagements, etc. Awesome. Wendy, this has been absolutely fantastic. Folks, I'm going to do the plug on behalf of Wendy. Her book, Stop Wasting Your Time Networking. It is a fantastic book. It is integral. Building those relationships, those connections is integral to building your effective go-to-market strategies for your firms, because you need to be knowing with whom you want to be collaborating with, be it for referrals, creating content, doing events, cross-promoting. A great roadmap and strategy, very practical. So folks, do your firms a favor, do yourselves a favor and get a copy of this book. Wendy, any final tips before we conclude about, folks, in terms of getting started, in terms of how to identify, the right networking opportunities? We'll get back to the networking of where to network. Any final just kind of tips for folks that do want to find the right opportunities of where they should be going to start, building their network, but what's going to be right for them given their personality, schedules, etc. What would you advise them?
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna say this. When you walk into a room for a chamber or an industry association, whatever it is, you walk into a networking room, my advice is don't judge the people right away based on what they do or who they do it for or how long they've been there or what the vibe of the room is. Meet one person at a time. And when you're meeting that one person, if you know who you want to meet, that person might be able to help you.
Yeah.
And so therefore, no matter who you meet, you can have a good conversation with them and see if you can help them with a good connection. See if they can help you with a good connection. And if not, move on, because that's why you're both there. You're both there networking. And a good connection isn't a sale, isn't a prospect always. Yeah. It's someone who can help you build and grow your business, either by saving you time, saving you money, or perhaps increasing your revenue spend. So don't judge a networking opportunity by who can buy from you. Judge a networking opportunity from your ability to make good connections, both for them and for you.
So being open to connecting, being open to people, meeting people, being open, even just one person, being open to connecting. Awesome, awesome, Wendy. Thank you so much. Been really great again for another discussion about strategic networking. Wendy, can you tell folks how they can get more of your brilliance, how they can connect with you?
Absolutely. So my website is very simple, strategicnetworking.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn, and my name, I think, is on the screen. So Wendy Lloyd Curley, no hyphens, just spaces. It's all good. And I'd love to be connected with you. So please reach out.
Well, again, Wendy, thank you so much. And for those of you that I'll put those details in the notes on this YouTube recording. For those of you that wanted to learn more around go-to-market strategies and how strategic collaborations and all that goodness fits in, please go to, oh, thank you, my book, Listen, Innovate, Grow. Go to my website, listeninnovategrow.com. Also connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you all in the next edition of Breaking Thru in B2B. Wendy and I will be having a third part 3 later in end of September to continue our discussion on this particular topic. But until next time, thank you so much, Wendy. Bye for now, and wishing you all a great day. Thank you.
Bye.